Fitling Abdi, Danny Boy here. We're back with more Transport Fever on the modded map, and it's a sad day, an emotional day, because yes, it is the season finale of the, well, at least the American section of the map. Tomorrow will probably be the season finale of the European section. It's a sad time. I promised myself I wouldn't cry. No, but it's been a lot of fun playing this map. Unfortunately, there was a point where so much things were happening in the map, I had to basically cut it in half, deleting the whole of Europe, and again for the European, deleting the whole America, just to make things run a little bit faster and get frames going a bit better. I'm not sure how it's going to work on the new maps, the USA and the Europe map, because I can't really cut it in half, because one is Europe and one is the USA on two separate maps. But anywho, in this episode we're going to take a jaunt in some lines, reminisce about the old times, etc, etc. If we head to New York, New York is where I had my first line, and the first ever line I did was Boston to New York, or New York to Boston. Now, as always, there ain't a Boston train here. There's one there, there it is. It's running this sort of New Jersey number. It must look quite old just now, but we'll have a ride on board with him, because this was the first line I ever did. I can't actually remember if I did after that. It also sort of gets a bit hazy, but we'll have a look through most of the lines and see if it is happening. New York, busy as always. A few trains here, a few of these high speed trains, and a few more of these Amtrak trains. But here is our New Jersey number coming in. There he is. 152 of 152 on board. That's pretty good actually. So New York has expanded quite well. It's not as big as I would have liked it to be, but it took a while for growth to sort of happen out here beside the airport. Unfortunately, the airport is no longer in use because we can't go to Europe, because Europe does not exist anymore. But here is our first ever train. This guy. So we'll have a ride on board with him. I like that white, I forgot about that white carriage in that Metroliner. So he's getting about turn once he's filled up. The Baldwin 6-wheel was the first ever train we used, because that was the first train available in America in the 1850s. He's filling up quite nicely. Did you get a full load again? Yes. And how much people are waiting to go to Boston? Still 111. Okay, strange. But here he goes. This is the New Jersey sort of livery train. New Jersey Transit. Even though we're not, well, I suppose you would actually go through New Jersey to go to Boston. Is that correct? We'll ride on board with him for the moment, because we've got this guy here, the Atlantic Coast Intercity. There's another train passing there. Nice, so there's a few things happening on this line. So there we go. I think I did actually get the Atlantic Coast train up, running fairly quick. The one on the west coast, near the west coast, the east coast was slightly longer and coming on at the go. I think I actually waited till the higher water was available for that. So we're getting a bit of frame drop there. Here's the return train coming in. So the train's doing 99, that's pretty good. I think it's got a top speed of 124. Well, we're passing this guy anyway. His top speed is 99. Nice. So here he comes rolling up into Boston, which brings us to our second line. I think I conceived. I think the second line was actually Boston to Alaska. Now there is an underground station here that goes down there, yes. The Atlantic Coast Intercity heads to an underground station there and then pops out around the other side. Because I put terminal stations in here, because this is basically the end of the line for things heading up here, but I wanted the Atlantic Coast train to keep going up to Alaska, even though Alaska is on the east coast. Yeah, there you have it. So I did try and place the cities sort of where they would actually be, but it's kind of hard. So the second train was this train here, which I can't actually see, because I added this second terminal in here to roll things up to Alaska. I do believe at the start, did I have a through? Was this a through station? I don't think it was. I think I had these two in to start with. So Boston again is growing quite well. 4,183. Transport links are good. We managed to get some stuff into Boston, just the basics. Obviously quite low coverage for everything there. 12 and 27%. That's not really that good. But oh well. There is actually no train here at the moment to head to Alaska. There it is there. Ooh, it's a New Haven train. Nice. So here we'll have our New Haven train. This line, albeit it's not that far to Alaska, it didn't really make much in profit. Now it's got 46 on board, but there is an issue with Alaska where people want to go there, but they don't want to come back. I have no idea why. I mean, this is a decent train. 87 miles per hour is quite slow, but that's due to the fact that these carriages have a top speed at 87. I believe the train itself is a top speed of 99. So we're up here in Boston. Again, Boston Airport, redundant. Here's another, well, I believe it's the same one we followed with the New Jersey train. But Boston again was one of those towns that we went to at the start, but we never really started to branch out till later on when better trains became available. Now, so I believe that was the second line I did up to Alaska. I then think it was Alaska to Calgary. Ooh, we've got a plane. Probably one of the last surviving planes on the map. An S7 plane that is actually from Russia. There are one or two people waiting there to go to Las Vegas. So if we go down here, as you can see, we've got a few trains heading out. This is the Boston return train with 55. 100 the Alaska to Toronto train does quite well. It's just a short route. I believe it's because the route is so short, people prefer to take the train. It's much faster. And the East Coast train, this isn't the West Coast Intercity, it should be the East Coast Intercity. Should it? I do believe it is. Why did nobody tell me about this? Oh well, we'll leave it. It's been named the West Coast Intercity for so long, we'll leave it as such. I'm pretty sure it's the East Coast Intercity. Is it? North, east, south, west. No, it is the West Coast Intercity. Right. Here's our Trans-Siberian trains. We left Russia on the go. I was getting confused there. But if you see here, there is a line that we did quite early on. The line New York City to Alaska Express. Now this is quite a decent train, but nobody wants to use it. Is that it there? No, that's the Boston train. So, a few things happen in Alaska. I did try to get Alaska up and running quite early on. I do believe one of these. See, 60 people coming from New York to go to Alaska, but nobody wants to go to New York from Alaska. I believe everybody takes the Atlantic Coast train, which is fair enough. We've got a speed dance coming in here. Calgary, ooh, that's almost full. So again, we've got a mixture of trains. A few trains arriving in here. There's our Arctic Express that goes to Moscow. Is anybody using it? Yes. A few people. So Alaska developed actually quite well. It seems to be bigger than some of the other cities we've got going on. Again, it just had the basic 3. It doesn't get much fuel on account of the fact that I had crude oil coming from here going to the fuel refinery at Calgary, but there were so much lines coming from the fuel refinery at Calgary that the demand of fuel just can't keep up. There should be a big boy here somewhere. There's one there. One of the few remaining big boys. These are actually double-headed. Over the bridge here. Under the bridge. But no, these are, I do like the big boy. They're good trains. I thought this would have been going faster. Are you going uphill? You are a bit. It's quite a long train. It's maybe waiting for tanks back there to clear a junction. But no, the big boys are epic trains. They're pretty awesome. So he's getting up to speed now. Is he? Nope. Still going hell of a slow. And that's the end of the train there. Thought it would have been faster with the two of them. Here's our speed dance though. It's our speed dance heading to Calgary. Because we'll go and have a look at Calgary anyway. So this thing needs a wash. It's extremely dirty. Not so much in the way of rust, just dirt. But this should pick up speed quite quickly. There are a few trains on this line. You can see the big boys running on the right hand side there. There's also another freight train that takes fuel down to Alaska. I'm not sure if all that is present. This is doing 104 miles per hour, is it? Doesn't seem that fast. Although it is passing the big boy at a fair rate. The big boy really looks as though it's struggling. I thought it would have been a decent amount of power with the two locos, but oh well. I think the top speed of this is something like 155. Here's its opposite number, heading the other way. Again, extremely dirty. There's where the New York train branches off and heads to New York. There's another crude oil train. And there's another train just in front of it. You're going to have to stop there. Yes, I can hear the brakes. There's the freight train. The car is fuel. It's in there somewhere. It must actually be at the station. So here's our Alaska to Calgary train heading in. We'll come to there for the moment. So we've had a ride on a speed dance. There is another train. Right, you're there. So I'm assuming the fuel train. Push pause so I can zip across the map faster. Here he is. It's a Conrail number. He's heading back to Alaska with fuel. So we'll get to Calgary in just a minute. We'll have a look in Toronto. No airport in Toronto. I probably would have got an airport up here and tried to expand the city maybe out this way. There's not much obviously expansion here because of the river, but oh well. Toronto again was a late to sort of get going, but it's going now. It's still increasing its population, which is fine, and I do believe, yes, we have this, one of our newest trains, the Lightning Hawk. That's pretty smart. We also have the West Coast Intercity rolling into Toronto just before it gets to Alaska. We have the Calgary to Toronto high speed. Are you the Calgary? No, you're the Toronto to Chicago. Oh well. So Toronto there, not much happened, but we've got the Lightning Hawk on the go. So that's something special for Toronto. Everything is fine here. We had one of our Metro liners again, a train that I often use because it is actually pretty good at what it does. We'll have a quick look at the Trans-Siberian Railway and the... because they're getting full loads and they'll both be departing at the same time. They both use the same rail, do they? I think they do. Oh no, you're going to go on the right and he's going to be on here on the left. The Arctic Express is faster, so it should pass this at some point. Right, 54 miles per hour, or we clear that junction. Most things in Russia have been destroyed. I just kept the cities going in order to keep these trains sort of going. But this train is actually fairly fast, 124 miles per hour. So I'm not sure if the Arctic Express will catch it before the lines branch off. But it'd be nice to see if it did. I do hear another train, I think. Or it may actually be this train. Can't remember where this branches off. Got the green light there. There should be a return train somewhere. It should meet about halfway. Hopefully if everything is running smoothly. Right, there's where the branch off. There's the return train. I'm sure I can see it there. There's where the Arctic Express heads off to Moscow. Let's see, you were there. How far behind was he? He was actually a fair bit behind. 128 of 156. This train is starting to look rather old as well. It is a Russian train, 155 miles per hour top speed, so that's pretty good. Here's his return body. There's no sign in Siberian Express return train as of yet. But those are the Arctic Express and the Siberian Railway. You are sort of stuck waiting for a free path. I think I actually kept food and stuff going here, did I? I did. So why are you waiting for a free path, fuel train? Where are you going? You're going down there. Ah, you're waiting for this guy to leave. Oh well, because food actually comes from Russia to Alaska. We've got our little Alcos running down here. They're pretty cool actually. Even triple header still may got the power just to pull this. Although it has got a full load, 360 and Norfolk Southern little Alcos. They're pretty smart. I think there is actually a couple of them still on the go. Or I may have gotten rid of most of them. So there is Alaska. We've checked out Boston. We haven't actually checked out the Stone Hub at Boston. A lot of things happen here. There's a lot of trains coming in to pick up Conmat. As you see, we've got a Canadian Pacific, a Canadian National. There is a Conrail. Here he is there. So a lot of heavy goods trains here. We've got a sort of mixed consist system so that the trains all look kind of different as they roll in. There is a Cartier train and a New Haven train somewhere. I'm not sure where they are at present. It'd be nice if they all rolled into the station at once. There's a Norfolk and Southern train that goes up to Alaska as well. Let's click on this. There's the 3 trains departing. Here is the other. And there should be another train going up to Alaska as well. Not to Alaska, to Toronto. Here he is. I'm not sure if this train is actually. It's a Norfolk and Southern as well. Ah, well, so we'll basically call this the Norfolk and Southern line. So again, they're running much more on board than they were previously, which is good. There was the Cartier train. You are a big boy carrying stone. There are 2 trains inbound here. The Vancouver Combat train, but you're the Vancouver you're Chicago. And you're the New York City Combat train. So again, we left big boys running on here. And they've got these sort of heavy haulage wagons, which are not particularly fast, but they do carry quite a lot of stone. And it was difficult to keep stone sort of running. Here's our Canadian National going to Vancouver. Now your buddy just left, so I don't expect that train to get too much. We've got some EMD 9s, I think they are, which are really old. I think they're from the 70s, but I like them, and they are diesel, and I think they still are pretty relevant. They're decent trains, and I like to have variety of different diesels running. So they're still on the go, and they're still on the go in a few places. So our Canadian National Air, it's got the freight containers, although it's probably not going to pick up that much. Our Alaska Rail and the EMDs have this it's like a sort of half boxcar that goods get piled up on the sides, as you can see there. So there he is, heading back. There is a train from Ottawa, which I believe is the Cartier freight train, although I'm not sure if it is at present. Is this it? Nope, you're Toronto. Is it stuck? It can't be stuck because I've got no warnings saying trains are stuck. Heading up to Ottawa. You're at Ottawa Combat train. Okay. Now I'm confused. Is it the Calgary Combat train? There are no trains inbound except from the Toronto train. Let's say I'll look for it. It should be arriving. Are you Calgary Combat? You're a Canadian Pacific, so it must be the Ottawa train. That is the Cartier train. See if I can find it. Who are you? You are a Canadian Pacific. So I must have run the fuel train, I think. Was it? No, it was definitely something that came rolling down here. Toronto fuel train, maybe? Right. Calgary. The trains there have eluded me, except for this gentleman here. This is an older Canadian Pacific. Again, it's an older train. Even though it looks old, it is actually an older train. We've got some food trains up here. Again, your Canadian Pacific. But the Cartier train sort of runs parallel to you. Here it is. It's looking a bit old, so it was actually carrying fuel from Calgary. But here we've checked out Toronto, Alaska, Boston, Calgary. We've got the fuel trains, of which there are quite a few. We've also got passenger trains as well. The New York to Calgary train was one of the first trains I did, and it's still doing well. It did take a long time to sort of get things going, but eventually it became good in the end. So we've got the Amtrak heritage coaches along with an Amtrak liveried diesel, so that's good. What have we got here? We've also got the Amtrak EMDs. These are extremely old. They should be set to replace. Maybe they're just almost at the time where they should replace. Our New Haven trains primarily head into like Boston, because New Haven's sort of between Boston and New York. Again, we've got an HHP8 heading from Calgary to Toronto again. Looking rather dirty, but these are quite good trains as well, the HHP8s. I think 124 miles per hour is their top speed as we clip through that fuel train. As he heads up to Toronto, I'm not sure if he actually hits his top speed. It's not a train I really paid much attention to. It's one of our newer trains, but I did play the game on to 2050, so I'm assuming this would have picked up. This is probably as much passengers as this train will get on average. So there we go, he's heading out. I like these HHP8s. I'm not sure which carriages actually go with them though, because it would seem as though these sort of old style Metroliner carriages are a bit small, trains a bit high. I know the diesels run the double-decker coaches and electric sort of run these single-decker units, but it just looks a bit off, looks a bit weird. But anyway, he's heading out, 102 miles per hour, so he does quite well. It's got quite a flat run. I would expect this train to reach its top speed at some point. But we shall continue on. We'll leave him for the moment. Here's his counterpart coming back. He looks to be going faster. speed is. 118. He's almost at his top speed. So there is Calgary. Ottawa as well. Not much happening in here. There did used to be a line, an air route from here to Edinburgh, using the turboprop smaller planes. But that is obviously gone now. Ottawa, how did you get on? 3,108 and still increasing. So that's quite good. Got a few trains in the station. Oh, Ottawa as far, we've got some more new age trains as well. Ottawa to Pittsburgh. And I do believe there's another one. Who are you? You're Ottawa to Calgary branch, which is doing quite well. So how are you actually getting on, Snake Train? 31 of 272, but we just set up this line not long ago. So it does quite well. I'm not sure if I've actually got the sort of hybrid TGVs in this line. I don't think I do. I think this line here is the Calgary to Ottawa branch. As you can see, the train goes a bit haywire as it goes up this hill. That's one thing I will say about this map, is it was extremely different terrain wise, we'll say. There's the Lightning Hawk. I can tell because it's going so fast. So this train as well, it's sort of a futuristic train, like a hybrid sort of train. It's got a top speed of 186. I can't actually remember if it reaches that. Probably not due to this stupid hill. But it should have a downhill section as it heads towards Pittsburgh. And then it should meet up with the other hybrid train that we've got. But it's nice, it bypasses Calgary here, so you can get a view of Calgary as you go past from the air. So it is technically an elevated train. It's near the hover train. The hover train is somewhere where I can't remember. That's there. The hover train leaves from Calgary and goes all the way down to Cancun. Now, what I could have done, should have done, was started from Ottawa and then head down. It might have got a bit more speed. But there, we've checked out New York, Boston, Calgary, Ottawa, Toronto, and Alaska. And then we will continue on as the save game, autosave, which at the start of the series was the bane of my existence. I hated it, and now I love it, because it saved my bacon quite a few times. So, Canada, last part of Canada, Vancouver here. This was one of the stations that was late sort of getting started. It's sort of growing off the edge of the world here. This is interesting. Is there a person? I want to see if it's like to walk off the edge of you. Destination is home. Ooh. So basically she has no garden. If she was to walk through this fence here, she'd be dead. She'd be lost in purgatory or limbo. Well, this is weird. But yes, Vancouver is not the only city to start to grow off the edge of the map. Where are you actually going? Oh, you're heading... What a weird view. Who's this person? Give me you. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Stanley Brown and Toby Stewart. Virtually living on the edge there. So it's interesting the why that worked. I think Los Angeles is the same. It grows out into the unknown. But Vancouver again was a late sort of starter. There's not much routes coming in here. So the only thing going for Vancouver is it's got the goods hub out here. Or not the goods hub, it's a food hub for North America. For we've got a few trains. We've got some of these old school Fairbanks and Morse trains running. They are looking rather old, but I like them. Again, they're diesel, so they will always have a place on the map. We've got a double-headered electric train here running freight in. I wanted to get these used, and it did say in the comments the actual train where you buy trains that was used for freight and passengers. Got a Canadian Pacific here, heading for Toronto. We had a decent amount of food, and we also had this, our first triple-headered sort of big freight train. 600 livestock, it's currently rolling. We always rolls with a full load, but they're just the standard trains that come in the game, the standard livery. I'm not sure the actual length of this, it's near 1,000 metres. The 1,000 metre trains are down at the South American fuel hub. So, interesting, I like that. It was the first time I'd ever done that, so it was smart. Another New Haven, this is obviously heading to Boston. I couldn't really find any New Haven liveried sort of newer trains. I think there are some in Steam Workshop, I'll have to keep an eye out for them. So we've got a New Haven train, Norfolk and Southern there. And I want to click on signal. I want to click on this though, because this brings us on to our next city. It's the Western Pacific train. Is it getting a lot of food? It is actually getting a lot of food now. Now to start, this was extremely slow in getting going. Now Chicago, obviously not that far from Vancouver, so it did quite well. Here's a Rock Island Chicago train there. There we go, Rock Island Rockets. He's running food as well. We've also got a train going to New York, etc, etc. I believe this is a Chicago and Northwestern, I do believe, heading to Calgary. There is a New York train. It might actually be this. Yes, it is, the Norfolk and Southern heading to New York. So Chicago was good, it accepted food, so did everywhere else, but down here in Seattle was a bit weird. We'll get that in just a moment. So Chicago again was one of those cities that we were sort of late bringing to the table. 3,761. Now it does have a few routes, although they're not the busiest of routes. They're maybe just a bit too far from the actual cities they're going to. Like we've got this, which is the New York train, and the Boston one, which is a New Haven number, running our Superliner double-decker Amtrak coaches there. So this train doesn't actually look that bad. Probably got it set to replace, and it probably just replaced recently. But there you have it. There is Chicago. Here is the Stone Hub at Chicago, where our big boys heading south and north both load up with a full load, so that's pretty good. With the enhanced industries, you get massive limits on what the industries can actually make, which is really helpful if you're wanting to run stuff like this. Now the end materials or the end goods factories will do the same, but again you need masses of raw materials being piped into them to get them to come up with these massive limits. And with these huge limits, your trains will be full all the time, and they'll be able to supply, you'll get better supply to the actual cities. Here's the Chicago Commat train, the Conrail. I like the Conrails, they're quite smart. So there is Chicago. We'll head down to Seattle here. Now Seattle and San Francisco are weird. There again did used to be air routes out of both of these heading to Europe, but they're now ceased to exist. Now again, not much happening here. A couple of branch lines, and the West Coast Intercity actually arrives in here. I believe that's one there. Is it? No. This is the Seattle to Vancouver Express, which is actually running with these Seattle coaches. This liveried double-decker Bombardier is actually the livery for trains that run in Seattle. So that was nice. And we just fired one of these old school electric GE numbers on the front. But I like these coaches as well. Albeit though they are slow, they are good. Got the Metroliner there running back to San Francisco. It's a very short journey. Here's another station. We've also got trams and buses. So yeah, tram looks rather old, it needs replaced. We've got our trucks, which are mainly Freightliners and Freightliner Cascadia and the Peterbilt There's one of the new age Wright streetcars. These actually look quite smart, although I've never actually seen them. And they are from America, or according to the game they are. So if anybody's actually seen one of them, let me know in the comments, because I've been to a few places in America and I've never seen anything. I've got the D40 Flyer bus. If we can find one of them later, I'll show you that. So Seattle, 3,816, so it's actually done not bad, 59%. It's pretty good. It's getting fuel, food and some construction materials, although they are coming from the south, which is quite a distance away. San Francisco, again another late developed town, 3,516. So in San Francisco again we've got these little Metrolink trains. They're pretty cool. The matching coaster with the coaster livery train wagons. It's heading to Las Vegas, so I'd imagine there's a few people would like to go to Las Vegas. And we've got the little standard Zephyr there, an old school number. Even though this is for like the 50s, I like it. It's sort of like a little heritage line. People actually use it as well, and it's quite fast, so under the bridge there, so it does the job quite well. Although I would like more capacity, because I think actually quite a lot of people want to go from Los Angeles to San Francisco. So there is San Francisco, the 3,516. It gets its fuel, as with Seattle, from here. So we've got our chassis systems, sort of weird gold painted train. It's looking rather old now, but it looks pretty cool. It's only got 9 fuel. I suspect that fuel is building up in San Francisco. Fuel also builds up in Seattle, so I wouldn't be surprised if this Lee Valley train, not the 296. I'm not actually sure where Lee Valley is, but I wanted to use this train, so he got fired onto the Seattle fuel train line. So they've actually got very short distance to cover. Now this brings us to our South American fuel hub, where we are running triple header trains in different varieties. Here's the Union Pacific, looking pretty dirty there. It's carrying 990. It's a 1,000-meter long train, 1,000-meter long station. So one more carriage in there would have got 1,000 units if I had maybe taken one of these off, but they do need the power to pull it. We've got a Burlington and Northern train heading to Miami. Very nice, 146, that's not too bad actually. So this train is getting empty, it's going to turn around where I suspect the next train is waiting. Here it is. Who are you, CSX? Yes. Again, looking rather dirty, but I would say it's quite fitting to be dirty because it is a heavy duty, heavily worked train. Now there should be more trains coming in here. Here's one. You are the Pittsburgh fuel train, Conrail number. Where else do we go? That's Miami, Pittsburgh, no, and Atlantic City train should be somewhere, and there's ones that go to Los Angeles, Cancun, etc, etc. Here is the Los Angeles fuel train now. What is this again? I can't actually remember. It says on the side Missouri Pacific Lines. It's probably running in the wrong area, but I just wanted to use it to get a different variety of trains on the road. There is the LA fuel train. So we've got fuel piling up here. That's good. We'll come back to that. We'll head over to Pittsburgh. Now Pittsburgh really should be, there's a lot of like Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, like the Penn Central trains, a lot of liveried stuff in the steam workshop for that. So it would seem as though rail wise Pittsburgh's quite important. So I'll hit and make sure I make a point of that when I go into the new series. But here's a D40 Flyer. Now I actually have seen these in America, so that's the most common bus I'm actually running in the United States at the moment. Here we are though in Pittsburgh Penn Station. There are two stations, aren't there? Yes, Pittsburgh Union Station and Pittsburgh Penn Station. So we've got a few trains running in here. Here's one of our futuristic numbers. You are heading to Calgary, was your actual destination. So I like these two. These are pretty smart. Got a metro liner there running in New York City. Another metro liner there running to Atlantic City. And the Atlantic Coast Intercity running in there. I do believe that's all of them. One, no, there's the Calgary, the Ottawa, Pittsburgh train as well, but there are a few trains running in here. The Pittsburgh Chicago Express. Let me see if you are. Okay, you are one of these electric numbers. Continue on, sir. Actually quite fast, these little trains. But there was Pittsburgh. How did you actually get on? 3,651. So for some reason towns in America did not expand as fast as the ones in Europe did. They were all at sort of like 4,000, 5,000 population. I had planned on running goods in here. I'd also planned to get like a Pittsburgh steel mills on the go, but I never actually got around to it. It's just too much stuff was happening, and eventually it came to a point where so much stuff was on the map. There was the catastrophic lag, as everyone's seen. So here's one of our Amtrak trains heading back to construction materials. We'll head down to Atlantic City here. There's actually, who comes in here? Atlantic City food train and the Atlantic Fuel food train. I do believe you're just a combat train heading towards Pittsburgh. You are. Nice. Some of this must be running empty. It is. Right, so Atlantic City. Again, it looks quite large, but it's only got a population of 3,214. A few lines running in here. Ooh, actually, not many. Just the Pittsburgh branch and the Atlantic Coast. I had planned to go across to San Francisco and Seattle, but their stations are quite full now in order of trains arriving in them. But we've got the Atlantic City Construction Materials Hub. We've got our big boys coming in from Chicago. Here is the Seattle Combat train. This has got quite a distance to go. It's a Union Pacific EMD. Is it GP9? Is that what they are? We've got the heavy hitting Southern Pacific trains here heading up to Cancun. So they're quite interesting. I like them. I found a few more of them in Steam Workshop, so we'll get them running in the next series. The Las Vegas Rio Grande train, that's quite smart as well. I like that. So there we have it. There's all the trains that are currently arriving in there. There's our Amtrak number. So again, you need a mass amount of stone to keep this going. Now that there's no longer slag coming from Europe, it's sort of going down a bit. But oh well. Europe had to go in order to keep frames and keep the series alive. So I'm actually glad that I did that. I was going to try and persevere, but it was actual agony, as you guys probably saw watching the trains travelling at extremely jittery pace, we'll say. So there is the Construction Materials Hub at Atlantic City. We'll head across. We do have the fuel refinery and food refinery. So here is one of our CSX trains running to the farms in Mexico. It's currently waiting for a free path. This is because... Why? Who are you waiting on? This train here. Now this is quite long. Again, these are, I think they're 1,000-meter trains. Push play. Where are you, train? Is it underground? The Mexico food train. It's got Mexico City food train's got 540. It should appear out here. There we go. So he was just waiting for this to leave. There's another Rio Grande construction materials train. As you can see, we've got the high speed hover train line there. Got a few things running in the background. Now, where are you? Ah, you are a BNSF. 540 food, that's quite good. We'll head back to the goods hub though. Here we've got our Maersk Sealand train. You are heading to San Francisco. Got some more triple header trains coming in. Is this a train that's arriving? It is. Mexico livestock train. Triple header, another Union Pacific with American flag there. Because it goes down to Mexico, just so everyone in Mexico knows it's American. One of our fuel trains there. We do have a few fuel trains, they're sort of boxed up. And we had a few more lines. Miami food train, the CSX delivery version of that. There was another train that goes down here. Who are you, sir? The Miami fuel train. Ah, okay, so I joined this up with this, blah blah blah. Right, sorted. But who are you? Norfolk and Southern heading to Atlantic City there. There were Penn Central liveried goods trains in the steam workshop, but they sort of broke, so I stopped using them. Santa Fe, I believe you're going to Los Angeles. You are. So there is the food hub, and there's our 1,000-meter long station that is bringing in raw materials for food and creating oil at the oil wells. 25,600. Pretty good at. We'll head over to Los Angeles. Los Angeles again did have international routes heading across the Atlantic, but they are now gone. 3,423. Now there are actually quite a few lines running in here. There's the Chicago to LA high speed train. It's running a full load. That's pretty good actually. So 220 mile an hour train. It doesn't actually do 220 miles an hour on this map, but on the Europe map its counterpart does 225. So that's pretty awesome. We've got the Las Vegas LA train, which is our salute our hero, our veterans Amtrak train, which I thought was pretty cool. And then we sort of teamed it up with this Cal train, the California liveried coaches there, so that's pretty smart. We also have another Metrolink train here, the Los Angeles to Mexico branch line. Again, matching train, matching coaches, so that's pretty cool. I actually never noticed this until I seen Metrolink, and then I realised I was using these, so I got this fired onto the front of it, which is pretty cool. Again, we've got some trains going to San Francisco. Where else does it go? Oh, Miami. Various different places. But we shall continue on. We're almost at the end. Las Vegas. Now, Las Vegas was a strange city. Las Vegas is obviously in the desert in real life. Here, it's on top of this rather large hill. If you go down, there it is, top of the mountain. So, Las Vegas was actually, it took a while to grow out, and it struggles to expand due to the fact that it's on this hill. These people are basically got cliffside apartments. That'd be interesting. 3,509, so basically the same as the other cities in America. It's got the only surviving air route, which is Las Vegas to Alaska. Now, you would think more people from Alaska would want to come down here. I certainly would. But no, I had to place the freight hub down here for Las Vegas, just because there was nowhere to put it in town, and I didn't want the freight trains coming up here. So there we have it. There is Las Vegas, Sin City. There's some more freight. There's that freight train heading back to Mexico City. So here we are at Mexico City, where one of my favourite sections of track is on the Atlantic Coast Intercity. As it comes round here, it sort of goes round by the coast, and then it goes up here, and then it comes round this dodgy, now I say dodgy because it is really dodgy, section of track. One false move and the train is away into the Pacific Ocean, I dare say that would be. But there it is, 210, always gets a full load. That's because there's no much lines out of Mexico City. Actually, I want to follow this train. I like it as it goes past the trees. It's heading uphill. It is a rather slow section of track for obvious reasons, because the train doesn't want to plummet into the abyss. So you cannot really fault it there. This is a hell of a slow corner as it comes round. So I'll have to get the structural engineers out, just to make sure that there's any slight touch of rain, and that might be a landslide into the ocean. It's pretty cool. It's heading up to Cancun there. We'll have a look at Mexico City. Again, this airport was added on quite late, but it never really got the benefit of being used because we had to destroy Europe. There was a line going from Oslo. Here's the trains, Oslo to Mexico City. So we've got a few trains coming out here. The West Coast Intercity, the Las Vegas to Mexico branch line, and the Los Angeles to Mexico branch line. So nobody actually really uses them. People do use the Las Vegas train. It always runs with a full load. There is another station over here somewhere. Oh yes, we've got this, the hover train that no one uses, probably due to the fact that only this residents here are in range of it. I just sort of did this for like a testing purpose to see how it go on, and it is actually really smart when you watch it. We will watch that in a minute. We'll go to Cancun, our last city on the map. So again, we've got the Atlantic Coast train in there. There is actually a few trains running here. Cancun to Los Angeles, Cancun to San Francisco, and the branch line train going to, it's not really a branch line train, but it's just a short commuter route going to Las Vegas. There we go. Front runner UTA, with just the standard in-game GE diesel. So there he is. I do believe that the other train that's not here at the present, the other train is the same, I think, the one that goes to San Francisco, or it may be different. We've got our goods station here that is again receiving the three basics: food, combat and fuel. Who are you? There's a hover train. 0 people on board. I thought people might use this. There is one person, one brave soul. But that's been it for the cities and that. Cancun, 2,943, but population was in the rise. Mexico City, 3,518. They were limited by growth due to the fact that they were right on the coast. But for the end of the episode, we're going to follow this guy again. Ooh, that's actually not the train. Where is the train? Hello, train. There. Calgary to Mexico. Right. Let's jump on board and we'll set him a-rolling. So there you have it. All the cities in America hosted the freight trains. Basically everything we got through in the season, bearing in mind that even though the CS season ran for quite a long time, we were also working with Europe as well. I probably should have paid more attention if it was happening in the USA, but when I come to do the new season, we'll be able to spend the proper amount of attention in both Europe and the USA. I would hate to jump back and forth between the two on the same map, because I was more sort of focused on Europe in this playthrough. Just because I think it's because of the different variety of trains I had on offer in Europe. Again, modders that may be watching this, if you feel like being some American trains, even the repainting the skins in it are awesome. It gives you a bit of variety that you can sort of play with. That would be awesome. And thank you to the modders. This would never been so much fun without the different sort of things to use. Especially fun stuff like this, like the hover train and the lightning hawk. I think we'll jump on the lightning hawk quickly before we leave as well. So I wasn't actually sure if this train was going to work. I thought it was going to fatally crash the game, but no, it works perfectly. I believe the Calgary to Mexico City is actually the fastest train on the map at present. I think it gets up to about 300 miles per hour. I'll find out in just a second here. It's at 280, and it's still got a while to go. Approaching 290, it's going to enter this tunnel. We should be good. We're heading up to the corner here. Nope, flat out through the corner, 300 miles per hour. So yes, he is definitely the fastest train on the map. But we'll go and find there he is, the outside view. Interesting train. I'm glad I got to use it. But we shall go and find the Lightning Hawk. If there's a Lightning Hawk currently in transit, that would be awesome. There is one there, but I think it's heading to Chicago. So we'll speed it up a touch, and then we'll follow this guy out for the final moments of the USA map. The modded series is coming to an end, although the next season of D will actually have plenty of modded things. After these 2 episodes, I'm going to go through a phase of uninstalling every single mod that I have and then reinstalling it and testing each one just to make sure that they work. I did have a few times where I got some nasty surprises. During recording I selected a station or a depot or a train and the game just said no, it crashed. And I had a few terrifying moments, mostly when I came back from trips offshore or abroad, where I would go to restart the game and one of the modders had sort of tampered with our mod, done some little changes to it, and it wouldn't load up my save games. Panic then ensued, and then going through various different things to try and save the actual save the game. But once you contact the modders themselves, they're normally pretty helpful in getting you back on track. Certainly the ones that I had that I thought was going to totally end the series were actually really good. They got me back on track, and so it managed to keep it going, and I'm glad we did manage to keep it going. Here we can see some fatal frame rate high speed train action. Ooh, frames are a touch laggy, but I like the Lightning Hawk as well. I'm glad I got to run this at the end. As it approaches its destination, we will approach the end of this episode. So as always, it's been a pleasure marking this. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you to all the people who left comments and gave me some tips and some advice and gave me some general information on sort of trains and railways like around the world that I didn't really know before. That was actually extremely helpful. Thank you to the people who subscribed, the people who have been here from the beginning, and the new subscribers in the group. It really does mean a lot, and I've really appreciated all the help from you guys in the comments and stuff. So I will say thank you again, and it's been great marking this map. It's a shame it's come to an end, but again, frames on both sides have started to go, so that's going to be it. We will say a fond farewell to the USA, and tomorrow I'll get the Europe finale up as well. Had a brief look at the map and everything we did, and now it's come to an end. The show has ended. that has been it for me. I've been Danny Boy. If you did actually watch this and you'd like to leave a like, comment or dislike, please feel free to do so, and shortly we'll get the new season of Transport Fever up and running. I have been playing Rise of Industry and uploaded a few of them just to sort of keep the show going, but it's been a pleasure, and that's been it for me. This has been Transport Fever, and I will catch you later.